Hi, it's Amber back to talk about accessibility features in Wakelet. This is honestly one of my favorite features that's part of Wakelet. If you just create a collection, you can use it. So let's get started and learn more about these awesome features for accessibility. One of the things that is really super powerful for students to use are some tools that are built into Wakelet. You may have noticed that next to anything that's just text, I have this little icon, and that's called the Immersive Reader icon. So I'm going to show you what happens if I click on that icon. So I'm going to go ahead and click. And I get a page where everything else is gone and just the text is here. And I have a play button at the bottom.
This collection will help guide you through our study of reptiles.
So I can have this read aloud to me, and I can even click on voice settings, change the speed so it's at the pace I prefer, and male or female depending on what I prefer to hear it read aloud as. So anything that has that little immersive reader icon, all of a sudden I can have read aloud. So that is the power of using the text tool, is when you put text in this Wakelet collection, you are also automatically getting the immersive reader. Super exciting tool. Now let's talk about some other tools that are in here. So we also added a website link, and this was about the blue-tongued skink, and you'll notice when I hover over it and I'm visiting it, I have this little read mode beta icon. So I'm going to click on that and show you what happens. Now I don't know about you, but there are times I go to a website and there's so much distracting things that's happening on the page, whether it's advertisements or things just zooming all over the place. And students can get easily distracted. And we know there are some students who are more susceptible to getting distracted. So in this particular tool, using the read mode beta tool, it doesn't work on every single website out there, but it does work on a lot of them. It strips out all the junk and it actually just puts the text. So you'll see here's this website. Now you don't really know what it looks like, but I'm going to go over to where it says visit original so you can see what it's done. So if I had just clicked on this, this is what my student would get. Now in this particular case, that's not super distracting, but there are times that you go to a website that does have a lot of distracting text. If this read mode didn't work with it, it would say it's not ready for this tool yet, and it would just have you go back to the original. But what you will also notice is at the top, you have that immersive reader button again. So I could actually have this page read aloud to me.
What part of the world are blue-tongued skinks from?
So you'll see that that doesn't just give me the ability to see text in a more non-distracting way, it also gives me that immersive reader button. So super awesome ways to get to content in your collection. Also, one of the other things that the immersive reader has that I just love, and I'm actually going to go back to this one so this will show you quickly. I'm going to click on the immersive reader, and we talked about how you could just click play or you could change the voice settings, but I didn't point you to these things over on the top. These are extra tools that also come with the immersive reader. The first one are text preferences. You may have students with some visual impairments that need that text really large. So now they can take your Wakelet collection text and actually enlarge it themselves. Also, they can decide to increase or decrease spacing depending on their visual needs, or even change the font, because there are some fonts that are maybe more easily read than others with those with some kind of visual impairment. Additionally, you may have students who need a dark background with light text. It's right here. They can change it themselves. There's also more color options. So if you have students who have some visual challenges, this is a great place. And me, I like to do this because I have visual challenges. Lots of different things. This next tab are grammar options, and these are just fun because maybe I want us to do a little lesson here, and we're going to focus on the nouns of this paragraph. So I want to highlight the nouns, or maybe I want to just look at the verbs. So you'll see how we now have some tools where we can actually look at parts of speech. We also can turn on labels so it tells what kind of part of speech it is if you want to show the labels. Then if you have someone who's a beginning reader and maybe needs to divide up the syllables so it's a little easier for them to sound out, you also have a syllables tool as well. So great things there that are just extra. Over on the right, you have reading preferences, and this is one that's super helpful. Now, if you might have a student who really needs help only focusing on 1 or 2 lines at a time. Now, this is only 3 lines of text, so it's not going to be super exciting to switch it over to 3 lines. But if you have a student who really only needs to look at 1 or 2 things at a time, this is a super helpful way to be able to do line focus. So I'm going to turn that off. The next one is a built-in picture dictionary. So if you click on some words and there are pictures that can be associated with that vocabulary word, it actually already has some pictures in there. Super helpful for struggling readers, maybe students who English is not their first language. Lots of different ways to get some pictures in there. Not all words have pictures, but many do. So this is a super helpful thing. Also, you'll notice if you click on a word that maybe you don't know how to pronounce,
Fascinating.
you can also just listen to one word at a time rather than having the whole thing read aloud. Now, speaking of students where English is not their primary or first language, there may be times that we do need them to read things in English to practice their reading of English, but there are other times that we need them to focus more on the content and not on struggling to read English. So if you have language in here that you've typed in to your Wakelet collection and they've opened it in this Immersive Reader tool, there's also the ability to translate it to a different language. So maybe my native language is German and I want to translate this entire document into German. So now I can read it in my native language and I can even hear it.
Diese Sammlung wird Ihnen helfen.
I can even have it read aloud to me in my native language. So there are some extraordinary tools in here that are very useful that just come with that Immersive Reader tool. And all I had to do to get that is to put text into my Wakelet collection. So that gives you a lot of incentive to not just add website links and videos and URLs, but also text so that you can give some extra support to those students who need it most.